If you fall into an open manhole while you're walking on the street, is it the government's fault for not telling you there's an open manhole? Or is it your fault for not looking where you're going? We're going to answer that question and explore the concept of negligence today. What's up? You're watching Tito Talks non-life insurance discussions with me, your favorite Tito Miguel, who loves to make non-life insurance discussions easier to understand for both agents and clients. Maganda. Magandang Friday evening po sa inyong lahat. Welcome to the weekend. Congratulations on surviving another hectic work week. And now, right before we send you on to the sweet weekend, we just have one more video to cap off your work week, and it is an interesting one because we are going to be answering a very interesting question. If you fall into a manhole while walking along the street, sino may kasalanan? Is it the workers' fault or the people who own the street, the government, for not telling you, not notifying you that there is an open manhole? Or is it just simply your fault for not watching where you're going? Can you claim for damages against the owner? Can you claim for physical injury, sometimes death? In these cases, well, the interesting answer to that question is it depends. Yep, that's right. It really depends. There is something known as negligence in these cases. This concept of negligence connects closely to the concept of public and general liability insurance. And if you missed our lesson on public and general liability insurance, you can check the link right up here. It was just a recent video. And these two are closely connected. Why so? Because whether or not the owner of the establishment, the owner of the road, or the or the defendant, in this case, yung sinisingil ng daños, yung sinisingilan ng daños, depending on whether there is negligence or not, would dictate if there is liability or not. Which makes you understand that it's a really big deal. Before you can claim for damages, before liability is established, negligence has to be determined first. And you may be wondering, well, Miguel, what is negligence? Very interesting question, Miguel. If you take a look at the dictionary, the term negligence is a noun referring to the dereliction of certain duties. Love that word, dereliction. Sounds so filthy, sounds so dirty. And that's exactly what the term dereliction means. When you say negligence, that means you are shrugging your responsibilities. There was something you are supposed to do that you did not do. And this is where negligence comes from. But it goes a little bit deeper than that. And as far as insurance goes, as far as even court hearings go, before you can establish that one party was negligent, which caused damages to other people, to third parties, four things have to be established, which constitute the four elements of negligence. Those are the presence of a duty, the betrayal of that duty, causation, which actually causes an incident to happen, and then finally, damages. If these four things can be established within a case, within an insurance claim, then liability is confirmed, then payments are necessary. And we're going to go over these elements one by one to give you a better look at them. Let's start with the first one, shall we? The first element of negligence is, of course, a presence of duty. There has to be someone responsible over where the incident occurred. In our example earlier, on the street, on the road, so this is public property, so it's usually the property of the government. Why was there an open manhole in the first place? Was someone working on the area? Were there reconstructions, road renovations, road installations being carried on in that area? If yes, then the government has a liability. The same thing can be said if the accident happened in a restaurant. The same thing can be said if an accident happened inside the house. Did this area happen under someone's jurisdiction? If it did, the owner or the liable party would have had some certain duties that they would have had to accomplish. For instance, if you were working on a manhole or on a road, it would be necessary for you to place several safeguards in the area, like warning signs. Caution, may manhole, baka malaglag ka. Caution, madulas yung sahig, baka madulas ka. Caution, may falling debris, baka malaglagan ka. Have you ever gone into a restaurant and noticed some restaurants would put up signs near their seats saying the establishment will not be held liable for any loss of property or belongings. This is one way that the restaurant owner or the potentially liable party can exercise their duty. It is their duty to inform the people in their establishment there is a hazard here. Please be careful, or it is their duty to prevent you from encountering these hazards. Please do not go into this area. Please do not enter this area. They have to block it off, they have to put signs, and they have to warn you. These are all things that reasonable people would have to do when there is a present hazard, like an open manhole, like a slippery floor, like incomplete buildings, incomplete bridges, incomplete stairs. Whenever there is a hazard present, and if you don't know what a hazard is, check out this video. Whenever there is a hazard present, it is the responsibility of the area owner, the house owner, the restaurant owner, the road owner to inform people or to let the public know that there is a present hazard and to prevent these perils from taking place. The second element of establishing negligence is the dereliction of this duty. It is the shrugging off of this responsibility. Since you already know that you have a responsibility over the area, over the restaurant, over the house, over the road, it's your responsibility to inform people that there is a hazard here. If you did not do that responsibility, then there is an element of negligence involved. That area, that house, that building was under your responsibility, under your watch. That is your property. Therefore, that was your responsibility. Did you do it? Did you accomplish it? Did you accomplish it? Did you follow it? Yes or no? If not, then you could be looking at liabilities because there was something that you had to do but you didn't do it. But that's not the whole case because you have two more elements. Now, while it is heavy enough to say that if you had a duty, if you had a responsibility and you did not fulfill that responsibility, it's not enough. That dereliction or that ignorance of responsibilities had to cause the damage, had to cause the accident to happen, which is why you have an element of causation involved. When you have the element of causation involved, you are connecting the lack of responsibility, the lack of duty to what exactly happened. Because you did not say that you were working with an open manhole, someone fell into the manhole. So your dereliction of duty, your forgetfulness, your irresponsibility, your carelessness directly led to an incident happening. Had you practiced your due diligence, had you been able to perform your duties properly, would the incident have happened? And this is where the principle of proximate cause can come in. And if you missed our discussion on the principle of proximate cause, here's a link to that video as well. When you establish that the dereliction of duty or the ignorance of the duty or the failure to fulfill that responsibility is directly connected with the incident, there's just one more thing that you have to establish. And that last thing that you have to establish is, of course, something occurred after the accident, that there were damages incurred by the third party from that accident. And damages could range in any way, shape, or form. Napilay, naputulan, nabukulan, na-ospital, namatay, nasiraan ng gamit, nawalan ng gamit. Could be any damage, whether it's bodily injury or property damage. Take note, remember, these things happened under your property, the property which you should have been managing. That meant you had responsibilities. If these responsibilities were not met, which caused an accident, which then caused damages, then I'd have to say bingo. Bingo! You got all four squares. It's your fault. And when it's your fault, then you're liable. Then you're paying. But the road to establish that takes a bit of time as well, especially in very complicated cases. Not everything is cut and clean, not everything is clean and dry, wherein you could immediately point fingers and say that, yeah, it's really your fault. Sometimes investigations take place, and claims adjusters, claimsmen would have to conduct investigations, especially if there are contestations from either party. But what is important to note that there are cases wherein the potentially liable party was not asked to pay because there wasn't any negligence involved. Let's say, for example, let's go back to our example earlier. You fell into a manhole, but this manhole was covered by signs. May harang na, may senyas na, may kumakaway-kaway pa doon, wag kang pupunta dito, malalaglag ka, but you still went there, you still walked over the manhole, and you still fell down. Sinong tanga? Kasalanan pa ba nila yun? Of course not. And there are these cases. Can you avoid these things happening? Not necessarily. But what you can do as a property owner, business owner, establishment owner, house owner, what you can do is to make sure that you take the necessary precautions, you take the necessary responsibility in marking hazardous areas, informing people of hazardous areas, notifying your customers of when and where your liability ends. And if you can do that, you're minimizing the chances of ending up with liabilities that you have to pay. I hope you enjoyed this lesson as much as I have sharing it with you. Let's go on to our question of the day, which will open up a new type of insurance. Yes, we're opening a new type of insurance, so that means we're opening a new playlist. And our question for the day is to introduce that playlist. Can you guess what we'll be talking about? Can you insure a building even if it's not yet fully constructed? Let me repeat that question. Can you insure a building even if it's still under construction? With what kind of insurance do you think you can do that? Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know what you think by leaving a like on this video, sending me an email, sending me a suggestion. I would love to hear from you. So once again, thank you so much for watching Tito Talks, non-life insurance discussions. And this is your favorite Tito Miguel, always saying, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.